My name's Kieran McArdle, and you're listening to Pro Lacrosse Talk.
On Schreiber. Sidearm whip. Scores. Now it's one. Fidel scores. Hands off for Rabel. Switches hands and scores.
Kylie O'Miller showing off those shifty skills.
Right off the bat, there's Lyle Thompson.
A shot and a goal just inside the arc. Kieran McArdle.
Welcome to Pro Lacrosse Talk, the voice of Pro Lacrosse. I'm Hutton, he's Adam. Together we're bringing you interviews with your favorite players and coaches, as well as news from all 4 professional lacrosse leagues. We're here with Kieran McArdle, forward with the New York Riptide in the NLL, and attackman with the Waterdogs Lacrosse Club in the PLL. Kieran is no stranger to the expansion draft, having been picked up by 2 expansion teams in the span of 6 months. Today he joins us to talk about his experiences playing both professional box and field lacrosse. Kieran, welcome to the show.
Excited to be on. Thank you for having me.
Of course, no, it's great to have you on. We appreciate it, especially, just a month off from that expansion draft where you were drafted by the Waterdogs. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But I want to start at the beginning of your lacrosse career, growing up on Long Island. Tell me when you first started playing lacrosse and what kind of drew you to the sport.
So organized lacrosse was kindergarten. I've pretty much had a stick in my hand ever since I was born. My dad played growing up, played throughout high school. He went on to play soccer in college, but my family's always been a big sports family. So, even before I could walk, I had, basketball, hockey sticks, lacrosse, soccer ball, everything around me at all times. And I've just been drawn to the game of lacrosse.
No, that's awesome. And then for college, you ended up going to St. John's, and you became the first player in St. John's history to amass 200 points, 100 assists, and 100 goals in your career. What was it like playing for the Red Storm?
It was very cool experience for me. Obviously being close to home, family and friends are able to make it to all my games. And then, the friendships and the bonds that you make throughout college are for life. So both of those factors, as well as, while I was there, we were able to do, win some pretty big games and kind of put St. John's lacrosse on the map. So it was a really cool experience altogether.
That's awesome. And we're going to get into a little bit of your field lacrosse career. But first, I actually want to talk NLL. You joined the Toronto Rock in 2017. You told me that you had tried out for the Black Wolves initially. But what kind of got you interested in going pro in the box game?
I just wanted to dive in and experience something new, something that I wasn't, growing up playing, a kind of a new challenge and a new opportunity. Brody Merrill at the time was the captain of Toronto Rock, and he actually reached out to Schreiber and myself and kind of asked if we had any interest in playing the box game. Both of us said we don't really have any experience. We would love to, come down and try out. And Brody was real adamant about how hard they were going to work with us and develop us as box players and teach us the game. So Schreiber and I went up there. We would spend 5 days up there at a time, kind of practicing Saturday. We would have training camp, and then Tuesday also. But then in between those days, Schreiber and myself would be watching film and kind of learning from the guys, asking questions and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it all started.
You both certainly excelled while you were on the Toronto Rock. In the 3 seasons you spent there, you averaged 38 points per season. So how do you think you kind of developed in those first 3 years?
I feel like I'm still developing. The box game is very different than the outdoor game. Once you really dive into it and you actually start to play, you realize how different the game is. I try to explain it to people, even people that know both indoor and outdoor, and they don't really understand how it is so different, because at the end of the day, it is lacrosse. But I would say my development has been pretty big, and it has helped my outdoor game, with the off-ball movement, a lot of the two-man game, being more accurate with your shot. Kind of working together as a 5-man unit out there on the floor. So it's been an awesome experience so far.
No, that's great. And then you were drafted by the New York Riptide in the expansion draft this past summer. What's it like returning to Long Island and playing at Nassau Coliseum nonetheless?
It's amazing, honestly. I grew up going to the Saints game in that same Coliseum. playing at halftime when I was just like a young kid. Kind of having dreams of playing on that floor and being a professional lacrosse player, back in second and third grade. So, fast forward, 20 something years and now I'm out there, kind of living my dream. So, pretty cool altogether.
No, that's awesome. And unfortunately, your team season hasn't gone exactly as planned, but you're still building a strong foundation for future seasons. What has the message been from Coach Thorpe? And what are some areas you've seen the team grow in this season as you guys have progressed?
Yeah, the main message is continue to get better. Every time we get together, every weekend, every time out on the floor, continue to progress, continue to move forward, taking steps in the right direction. I think from game 1 to game, 11 now, obviously the wins don't show it, but we feel like we are progressing. And, obviously sometimes the wins and losses don't always show the progress. But, we have a tight-knit group and a great leadership and great coaching staff that's leading us in the right direction. So we're really trying to build something, special here on the island. And it'll take a little while. It's not going to happen in one season, but as long as we continue to progress forward, we'll be headed in the right direction.
No, that's great. And I want to switch gears a little bit now to the field game. You started out in the MLL right after college. You were drafted by the Florida Launch in 2014 and had an incredible rookie season, setting 2 rookie single-season records with 34 goals and 49 points. How are you able to make such an easy transition to the field game from college to the pros?
It makes it pretty easy when you're playing with Casey Powell. I didn't have to do too much besides for put the ball in the back of the net. With him playing with him on the same attack line. So that was a huge help coming in my rookie year. And then just the coaching staff believing in me and putting me in the right position to excel. I think that was a huge key in my rookie year. And I was playing a little bit different of a role. Casey was more the ball handler, quarterback, and that's kind of what I was used to in college. But he made it real easy on me, and we worked together real well, and I think that's a huge part of my success that year.
It must have been awesome playing with such a legend in the game. We're trying to get him on the podcast at some point. But he continues to make an impact even in his retirement.
I mean, he'll make an impact, for the rest of his life on the game of lacrosse for sure.
No, absolutely. And then you joined the PLL last season with the Atlas. You were tied for second on the team in points with 25. How do you think your first season in the PLL went?
Individually, a little bit of a fall off compared to my my post pro years, but overall it was a great experience. From the game day experience to the way everything was ran, all the behind the scenes, the media, being on NBC, all those things, you really felt like a professional athlete out there. And it's only the first season, so I'm excited to see the PLL grow and to be a part of it and help the sport of lacrosse grow, for the future.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you're excited to play on Long Island as well this season.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool. Stony Brook is going to be an awesome venue, and it's going to definitely be a sold-out venue.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then, despite your success in 2019, from a point standpoint, you were left unprotected and were drafted by the Waterdogs for this season. Were you surprised to go unprotected? And when you did go unprotected, were you expecting to hear your name called in this expansion draft?
Yeah, so I talked to Coach Rubior, and he kind of gave me the rundown on the reason why I wasn't protected and what he was hoping would happen. He left Cloutier and myself unprotected, thinking that they weren't going to take both lefty attackmen, and kind of hoping that, they took no lefty attackman off the Atlas. But then, as came closer to the draft, I had conversations with Coach Copeland. Those went real well. And then the draft came, and I wasn't too surprised that my name was called. I like to still think of myself as one of the top players in the professional game. So I was real excited to be joining the Waterdogs, and then even more excited when I saw the rest of the names that were called to that team.
Yeah, no, for sure. And one of those names that was also called was Connor Kelly. He was also drafted in the expansion draft by the Riptide, and is now your teammate on the Waterdogs as well. Have you guys talked about, getting the chance to play together again this summer? And how do you think your chemistry that you've developed on the Riptide will help you on the Waterdogs?
Yeah, for sure. Connor and I have, became good friends, and our relationship has grown this season with the Riptide, and starting to build that chemistry on and off the floor. So, that's just going to translate into the PLL. You really see it in the professional game. The chemistry really click when you're playing out there on the field. So getting to know Connor over the past few months has been awesome, and look to continue to, keep that relationship going and continue to connect on the field and hopefully, do some damage this year with the Waterdogs. Yeah,
for sure. And is there anyone else you're really excited to be playing with this summer?
My old teammate in Florida, Ryan Drenner, he's obviously a really skilled player. I've been a huge fan of the way he plays the game. Ever since his days at Towson, I was watching him, and then being his teammate, he's very versatile, could dodge, could shoot, has great vision. So he's a do-it-all guy. So real excited to be back on the field with him in this 2020 season.
No, for sure. And then my final question before we take a quick break, what have your initial conversations been with Coach Copeland since being drafted?
Kind of the direction and the way he wants this 2020 season to go. I obviously I have a huge chip on my shoulder after not being protected, as do probably every single guy on the Waterdogs. Mm-hmm. And that's obviously kind of the mentality that Coach Copeland is trying to create. And I think that's going to help drive our season this year. And I think we'll be pretty scary once we hit the field with all these guys that are pretty much out there, got something to prove and show the rest of the league.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm looking forward to watching you guys. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll hear a word from our sponsor, and then we'll dive into our 5 and 5 segment when we get back.
Sounds good.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of the Pro Lacrosse Talk podcast. We've been using Anchor for our podcast since the very start. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place, and better yet, it's free. They allow you to easily record and edit your podcast so it sounds great and send it out to all the major networks such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. Better yet, they connect you with advertisers so you can start making money from your podcast right away. So if you're interested in starting a podcast, download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Today's show is being brought to you in part by Stitcher Premium. You can use Stitcher Premium to listen to shows ad-free such as Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, My Favorite Murder, Wolverine the Lost Trail, or our favorite, The Fantasy Footballers. For only $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year, you get access to Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, and comedy albums. Better yet, if you go over to Stitcher.com/premium and use the promo code lacrosse today, you can get 1 month free. So head on over to Stitcher, sign up, and get your free trial today. All right, so welcome back. Now let's dive into our 5 and 5. I'll start off with the lacrosse questions. So these are supposed to be, more fun answers, kind of just talk about like your game day routines or whatsoever. So number one I'll ask is, what are some of your top songs on your game day or workout playlist?
So, actually, I don't have like a game day playlist.
Okay.
I kind of leave that up to whoever's in the locker room controlling the radio. Mm-hmm. I like to kind of keep it loose and kind of, mess around and talk a little bit with my teammates as that music's going on in the background. I don't really, throw on the headphones and get too locked in. Like I said, I like to keep it loose. So whatever the locker room DJ's got going that day, I'm usually vibing out to.
All right. And number two, kind of going off of that, do you have any pregame superstitions or routines?
Again, I like to try to keep it loose. I do tape my stick, but I don't have any crazy routines. I don't want to be like, oh no, I didn't do this today. I'm not going to score any goals or anything like that. So really just tape my stick and get a good stretch in. That's kind of my routine.
Okay. Yeah, no, nothing wrong with that. And then another question I have is, what is your current lacrosse stick setup in terms of shaft, head, and stringing?
So I use the Evo 5 with the Evo Carbon shaft. Right now it is the all black look. And then I got, I use just three shooters across with one nylon. Pretty smooth release. In the indoor game, you can't really have too much whip on your stick. In those tight situations where you need to just get that ball out of your stick quick. Mm-hmm. Pretty smooth release, not too much hook, not a big bag, and three across, pretty standard.
Mm-hmm. Is that the same you use in the field game as well? Is there any variance, or is it just around the same across the board?
Yeah, so I'll loosen up the bottom string a little bit, make the pocket just a little bit deeper, but it doesn't really change too much.
Gotcha. And then number 4, who is your favorite lacrosse personality on social media right now?
I'll have to go with my my ex-teammate and a good buddy, Scotty Rogers.
Okay, yeah.
He's always a good follow. Whether you need a good laugh or some good motivation, he's got you on all ends. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. He brings the intensity no matter what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
And then number 5, what has been your favorite venue to play lacrosse at? It can be more than one.
Ooh, favorite venue. Let's see. I would say indoor venue would probably have to be Saskatchewan.
Okay.
I was playing out in for the against the Rush, and they sell that place out like 18,000 fans. Just kind of going crazy. So that was a real cool experience. And then outdoor, I would probably have to say this past summer at Johns Hopkins. Playing out in front of a sold out crowd, some passionate fans there. In that Baltimore area. But hopefully, if you ask me this question again, I'll say Stony Brook this upcoming summer.
Yeah, no, for sure, and we're hoping it's going to be a packed and sold-out crowd there as well. And as you predicted, it should be. Oh, yeah. And then going off of that, we'll have the off-the-field questions. So the first one I'll ask you for that is, what are some hobbies or activities that you enjoy doing when you're not on the lacrosse field or floor?
So I don't not too much free time with coaching and playing and things like that, but definitely just being outdoors. Like some hiking or, just hanging out with friends, taking my dog to places and things like that. Really just being outdoors and doing some adventurous stuff, is kind of my hobbies now.
Okay. Number 2, what are some of your favorite places to go when you're on the island?
Definitely the beaches. I actually lived in a town called Long Beach for a few years, and it's a very beachy town, kind of like a Cali vibe to it. And that's one of my favorite places to go. So I'd probably have to say Long Beach. Okay.
And then number 3, who is a non-lacrosse athlete that you think would really excel on the lacrosse field?
I would probably have to say, let's see, probably like a Russell Westbrook.
Okay, yeah.
That guy, he's got some crazy athleticism. So I think if you put a lacrosse stick in that guy's hand, it would be pretty scary.
Yeah, he's got some moves for sure. Number 4, what is your favorite meal, and do you prefer to dine out, take out, or cook at home?
Favorite meal? I would probably have to say there's actually this Italian spot that I grew up by, the Chicken Parm Hero. That is just pretty unbelievable. But I would have to say dine in. Okay. Not huge on cooking too much. Mm-hmm. I do a pretty good job of cooking, but sometimes could be lazy. So I would say probably dine in would be probably my go-to.
And then number 5, what's a book that you've read, or it could be a podcast that you're listening to that you'd recommend to a teammate or a friend?
So I listen to a lot of the Joe Rogan podcast.
Okay, that's a popular one.
He's got a whole array array of people that come on, anywhere from, like nutritionists or motivational speakers or UFC fighters, athletes. So kind of hits all different areas. So I really enjoy listening to his podcast.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a popular one. That and I think Spit and Chitlets are like the two most popular ones that we get when we ask that question. And then finally, that wraps up our 5 and 5, but we like to end on one final question, Kieran. What is some advice that you have for a young athlete looking to one day play lacrosse professionally?
I would definitely say have fun with the game and work hard. You don't get to the professional level without working hard, day in and day out. And it's not only going to practice every day, because every lacrosse player or athlete is doing that. It's the work that you put in the backyard and when no one's watching that will really take you to the next level and make you succeed and really be one of the top players. So if you really want to make it to the professional level, I would say the work that you put in when no one's looking will get you there.
No, that's some great advice for our young listeners. Well, Kieran, this has been awesome. Remind people where they can find you on social media.
So both Instagram and Twitter, it's Kieran McArdle 6. Not too crazy on Twitter, but keep my Instagram pretty social. So give me a follow.
Sounds good, yeah, for sure. But this has been awesome. Thanks again for joining us. We wish you the best of luck the rest of the season with the Riptide and then this upcoming season with the Waterdogs.
All right, thanks for having me. Nice talking to you.
Today's show is being brought to you in part by Stitcher Premium. You can use Stitcher Premium to listen to shows ad-free such as Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, My Favorite Murder, Wolverine the Lost Trail, or our favorite, The Fantasy Footballers. For only $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year, you get access to Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, and comedy albums. Better yet, if you go over to Stitcher.com/premium and use the promo code lacrosse today, you can get 1 month free. So head on over to Stitcher, sign up, and get your free trial today.